Welcome to TrueCrime Unveiled Podcast. Dive deep into the mysteries that captivate us. If you appreciate this episode, please consider liking and subscribing to support us. In the heartland of America, a city known for its resilience and community spirit was about to become synonymous with an act of unspeakable horror. It was a seemingly ordinary Wednesday morning, April 19, 1995, in Oklahoma City. The sun was shining, people were heading to work, children were being dropped off at daycare. The Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, a 9-story structure housing various government agencies, stood tall against the clear Oklahoma sky. No one could have predicted the devastation that was about to unfold, the sheer scale of which would forever etch this day into the nation's memory. It was a moment in time where the ordinary was shattered, replaced by the extraordinary violence of a domestic terrorist attack. The events of that day remain a stark reminder of the vulnerability of even the most seemingly secure locations. The Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, like countless other government buildings across the country, symbolized the stability and authority of the federal government. It housed offices for agencies like the Social Security Administration, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. It also contained a daycare center, filled with innocent children who were simply beginning their day. The fact that such a building could be targeted, that the lives of ordinary citizens, federal employees, and young children could be so callously disregarded, sent shockwaves throughout the nation. This was not a battlefield in a distant war. This was an attack on American soil, in the heart of the country. Indeed, and what makes this case so compelling, so chilling, is the meticulous planning that went into the attack. This wasn't a spontaneous act of violence. It was a carefully orchestrated plot, months in the making. The perpetrators chose a specific target, a specific time, and a specific method designed to inflict maximum damage. They chose a Ryder rental truck, packed it with an enormous amount of explosives, a deadly cocktail of ammonium nitrate fertilizer and fuel oil, and parked it outside the Murrah building. The sheer scale of the bomb, the calculated nature of its placement, speaks to a level of premeditation that is truly disturbing. It's this cold, calculated approach to violence that makes the Oklahoma City bombing such a haunting case. The bombing itself was not merely an explosion. It was an act of calculated destruction that ripped through the heart of Oklahoma City. At precisely 9:02 a.m., the bomb detonated, creating a massive crater on the north side of the Murrah building. The force of the explosion was so powerful that it shattered windows in buildings blocks away, and the sound could be heard for miles. The blast ripped through concrete and steel, reducing a significant portion of the building to rubble. The immediate aftermath was a scene of utter chaos and devastation, a nightmarish landscape of dust, smoke, and debris. The image of the ravaged building, with its gaping hole and exposed floors, became a symbol of the attack's horrific impact. Less than, person one greater than. Less than, person one greater than. Before the blast ripped through the heart of Oklahoma City, life moved at a different pace. The Murrah Federal Building, a sturdy structure of concrete and glass, stood as a backdrop to the everyday routines of the city. People commuted to work, grabbing coffee from the small cafe on the corner, exchanging pleasantries with the security guards at the entrance. Inside, parents dropped their children off at the daycare center, the air filled with the cheerful chatter of toddlers and the comforting scent of baby powder. Outside, the spring air was crisp, carrying the scent of freshly cut grass from the nearby park where squirrels chased each other up trees. It was a typical Wednesday morning in Oklahoma City, a scene of ordinary life unfolding under a clear blue sky, unaware of the impending tragedy. The gentle hum of office activity, the distant sound of traffic, and the laughter of children playing. These were the sounds of a community at peace, a peace soon to be shattered. Indeed, the city had a rhythm, a familiar pulse that resonated through its streets. Families strolled along the sidewalks, pushing strollers and walking dogs. Office workers hurried to their desks, clutching briefcases and sipping their morning coffee. The Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum now stands as a solemn reminder of the lives lost. But back then, the site was a hub of activity, a place where people went about their daily lives. The Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building housed various government agencies, including the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the Social Security Administration. It was a place where people sought assistance, filed paperwork, and worked to serve their community. The building itself was a symbol of stability and public service, a cornerstone of the city's landscape. Imagine the scene inside the daycare center. Colorful drawings adorned the walls, toys were scattered across the floor, and children played under the watchful eyes of their caregivers. The air was filled with the gentle lullaby of a music box, and the scent of crayons and construction paper hung in the air. Parents kissed their children goodbye, promising to return later that afternoon. Outside, the sun glinted off the windows of parked cars, and the American flag fluttered gently in the breeze. It was a scene of innocence and trust, a world away from the horrors that were about to unfold. These ordinary moments, now frozen in time, serve as a poignant reminder of the preciousness of life and the devastating impact of the bombing. The community surrounding the Murrah Building was a tapestry of lives interwoven. Small businesses thrived, their owners greeting regular customers by name. Neighbors chatted over fences, sharing stories and laughter. Children played in the park, their carefree shouts echoing through the air. The rhythm of life was steady, predictable, and comforting. This was a community where people knew each other, where they felt safe and secure. The bombing not only destroyed a building, but also tore apart the fabric of this community, leaving a scar that would take years to heal. The morning of April 19, 1995, dawned like any other spring day in Oklahoma City. The sun rose, casting a warm glow over the city's bustling downtown. People were starting their workday routines, grabbing coffee, heading to their offices in the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. Children were being dropped off at the daycare center located within the building. It was a scene of ordinary life, of routine, a snapshot of a community unaware of the tragedy that was about to unfold. The weather reports predicted a pleasant day, a stark contrast to the storm that was brewing just a few blocks away. Unseen and unheard, there was a sense of normalcy, a deceptive calmness before the storm. It's important to paint this picture, to understand the sheer contrast between the mundane and the horrific, the ordinary and the extraordinary. Indeed. And amidst this everyday activity, a yellow Ryder truck, seemingly innocuous, was parked outside the Alfred P. Murrah Building. Inside the truck, a deadly concoction of fertilizer and fuel oil, a time bomb ticking closer to detonation. Timothy McVeigh, the mastermind behind this horrific act, had meticulously planned this attack, driven by his anti-government sentiments and fueled by the events at Waco and Ruby Ridge. He believed this act would spark a revolution, a violent uprising against what he perceived as government overreach. He chose the Murrah Building specifically because it housed federal agencies, symbolizing, in his mind, the very entity he sought to destroy. The truck's placement, directly in front of the building, was calculated to maximize the destructive force of the bomb. The scene was set, the players in place, the clock ticking relentlessly towards an unimaginable devastation. It's chilling to think of the ordinary rhythm of that Tuesday morning, juxtaposed with the meticulously planned act of terror unfolding just outside the Murrah Building. Parents were kissing their children goodbye at the daycare, colleagues were greeting each other in the hallways, people were going about their daily routines, oblivious to the impending catastrophe. The image of the yellow Ryder truck, now seared into our collective memory as a symbol of terror, blends almost seamlessly with the backdrop of that spring morning. It's almost as if the ordinary camouflaged the extraordinary, the mundane masked the malevolent. The contrast serves as a stark reminder of how quickly normalcy can be shattered, how easily the ordinary can be transformed into the unthinkable. This is what makes the Oklahoma City bombing so profoundly disturbing. Absolutely. Witness accounts later revealed an unsettling detail, a subtle anomaly in the otherwise ordinary scene. Several people reported seeing a man matching McVeigh's description near the truck shortly before the explosion. One witness recalled seeing him hurriedly walking away from the vehicle. Another described a sense of unease, a feeling that something wasn't right. These fleeting observations, dismissed at the time as insignificant, would later become crucial pieces of the puzzle, adding to the growing suspicion surrounding McVeigh's involvement. The shadow in the ordinary, a sense of foreboding that hung in the air, unnoticed by most, but registered by a select few. This subtle disruption, this break in the rhythm of the day, foreshadowed the horrific event that was about to unfold. Let's delve into the horrific events of April 19, 1995. At precisely 9:02 a.m. on that Wednesday morning, a bomb-laden Ryder rental truck parked outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in downtown Oklahoma City detonated. The explosion ripped through the heart of the city, instantly transforming the 9-story building into a mangled wreck of concrete and steel. The blast's impact was catastrophic, felt blocks away, shattering windows and damaging structures across a 16-block radius. The immediate aftermath was a scene of utter devastation, with plumes of smoke and debris filling the air. The sheer scale of the destruction was difficult to comprehend, and the emergency response was immediate and overwhelming, with rescue workers, law enforcement, and volunteers rushing to the scene to search for survivors amidst the rubble. The bomb, we later learned, was a devastating mixture of ammonium nitrate fertilizer and fuel oil, a potent combination capable of immense destructive power. It was estimated to weigh approximately 4,800 pounds and was detonated directly outside the building, maximizing the damage. The location of the truck, parked in a drop-off zone directly in front of the building's daycare center, amplified the tragedy. The force of the blast ripped through the building's north face, leaving a gaping crater and causing the structure to partially collapse. The bomb's placement suggests a deliberate targeting of the building and its occupants, raising questions about the motivations behind this heinous act. This wasn't merely an act of destruction. It was a calculated assault on innocent lives. The immediate consequences were horrific. The blast claimed 168 lives, including 19 children who were in the daycare center at the time. Hundreds more were injured, suffering from burns, broken bones, and other trauma. The human cost was staggering, leaving an indelible scar on the city and the nation. The bombing also had significant economic ramifications, causing millions of dollars in damage to surrounding buildings and businesses. The destruction was so extensive that the entire area had to be cordoned off, hindering rescue efforts and disrupting daily life in the city center for months. Beyond the immediate devastation, the Oklahoma City bombing had profound long-term impacts. It exposed vulnerabilities in domestic security and led to a reassessment of how the United States addressed the threat of homegrown terrorism. The bombing also highlighted the devastating consequences of extremist ideologies and the urgent need to combat them. The event remains a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and security and the devastating impact of violence on individuals, families, and communities. The sheer scale of the loss and the senseless nature of the act left an enduring sense of grief and outrage that continues to resonate today. The initial explosion ripped through downtown Oklahoma City at 9:02 a.m. on April 19, 1995. The north face of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building was sheared off, instantly transforming a symbol of government into a scene of unimaginable carnage. The force of the blast, later determined to be equivalent to 1.8 tons of TNT, shattered windows for blocks around, sending shards of glass raining down on the streets. The immediate aftermath was a chaotic tableau of dust, smoke, and debris. People stumbled out of damaged buildings, some covered in blood and soot, others desperately searching for colleagues and loved ones. The air was thick with the smell of burning fuel, and the cries of the injured echoed through the devastated streets. The scale of the destruction was unlike anything the city had ever witnessed. The initial reports were fragmented and confusing. Some speculated about a gas leak, others a plane crash. The true nature of the event, a deliberate act of domestic terrorism, began to emerge as first responders sifted through the wreckage. The discovery of a crater beneath the building, consistent with a truck bomb, quickly shifted the focus of the investigation. As the dust settled, the horrific extent of the bombing became clear. The 9-story building was reduced to a mangled skeleton of concrete and steel. Hundreds were trapped inside, and the death toll began to climb with each passing hour. The city was in shock, struggling to comprehend the enormity of the tragedy. The nation watched in horror, grappling with the reality that such an attack could happen on American soil. The rescue efforts were heroic and relentless. Firefighters, police officers, and ordinary citizens worked tirelessly, searching for survivors amidst the rubble. Sniffer dogs were brought in to locate those trapped beneath the debris, and heavy equipment was used to carefully remove large sections of the collapsed structure. Every hour that passed brought diminishing hopes of finding anyone alive. Stories of miraculous rescues emerged, offering glimpses of hope in the darkness. But these were punctuated by the grim reality of recovering bodies, many of them children from the building's daycare center. The emotional toll on the rescuers was immense, witnessing firsthand the devastating consequences of the bombing. As news of the bombing spread, a wave of fear and uncertainty swept across the nation. The attack shattered the sense of security that many Americans had taken for granted. The Oklahoma City bombing was not a foreign attack, but an act of domestic terrorism, perpetrated by American citizens against their own government. This realization was particularly unsettling. The FBI launched a massive investigation, determined to identify the perpetrators and bring them to justice. Checkpoints were set up, security measures were tightened, and a nationwide manhunt began. The bombing marked a turning point in American history, forcing the nation to confront the growing threat of domestic extremism and its potential for devastating violence. Let's delve deeper into Timothy McVeigh's psychology. On the surface, he presented as a disciplined, patriotic ex-soldier, decorated for his service in the Gulf War. He expressed strong anti-government sentiments, fueled by incidents like the Waco siege, which he witnessed firsthand. However, beneath this veneer of ideological conviction, there seemed to be a simmering resentment and a profound disconnect from societal norms. Some psychologists suggest that McVeigh's military experience, while seemingly shaping him into a model soldier, may have also exacerbated pre-existing tendencies towards rigid thinking and a need for control. This, coupled with his increasing involvement in extremist groups, could have created a dangerous cocktail of resentment and a desire for violent action. The question remains, was he a lone wolf driven by personal demons, or was he a carefully cultivated instrument of a larger anti-government movement? McVeigh's outward persona was indeed a contradiction. He was known for his meticulous planning and attention to detail, evident in the bomb's construction and the timing of the attack. Yet, he also displayed impulsive behavior and a disregard for human life, exemplified by the sheer scale and indiscriminate nature of the bombing. This duality is a key area of interest for investigators and psychologists alike. Was this a calculated act of terrorism, or a desperate cry for recognition fueled by a deep-seated sense of injustice? His writings and pronouncements reveal a man consumed by conspiracy theories and a belief in the imminent collapse of the government. This paranoia, coupled with his military training and access to explosives, painted a dangerous picture that, tragically, went unnoticed by those around him. The contradictions extend beyond his personality. McVeigh's anti-government rhetoric clashed with his prior military service, where he swore an oath to protect the very institution he ultimately attacked. This dissonance suggests a complex internal struggle, perhaps a disillusionment with the ideals he once held dear. Furthermore, his meticulous planning and execution of the bombing contrasts sharply with the seemingly impulsive decision to park the Ryder truck, loaded with explosives directly in front of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, a location filled with innocent civilians, including children. This raises questions about his true motivations. Was his primary goal to dismantle the government, or was there a deeper, more personal element of revenge, or a need to inflict widespread suffering? Examining McVeigh's social connections provides further insights. While he had accomplices, he maintained a certain detachment, almost as if he was playing a role. He sought validation for his beliefs within extremist circles, yet he seemed unwilling to fully integrate into any particular group. This aloofness and calculated distance raised the question: did he genuinely believe in the cause, or was he using the anti-government movement as a platform to enact his own personal agenda of destruction? This disconnect further complicates the psychological profile and continues to fuel debate about the root causes of his actions. It also underlines the difficulty in identifying and preventing individuals who harbor such dangerous ideologies, especially when they operate within the fringes of society. Let's delve into the investigative maze that followed the Oklahoma City bombing. Initially, the focus was on Middle Eastern terrorism, a prevalent fear at the time. But the bombing's sheer scale and devastation evoked memories of the 1993 World Trade Center attack. Investigators pursued leads related to possible Islamic extremist groups, scrutinizing potential connections and combing through intelligence reports. This initial direction, though understandable given the context, consumed valuable time and resources, diverting attention from the actual perpetrators. The early reports of a Middle Eastern man seen with McVeigh, later proven false, further fueled this misdirection. This illustrates the challenge investigators face when dealing with the chaos and misinformation that often follow such catastrophic events. The pressure to find answers quickly can sometimes lead down the wrong path. Adding to the complexity were the taunting communications received by authorities. These ranged from coded messages to cryptic phone calls, claiming responsibility and hinting at further attacks. Each communication, while potentially a valuable clue, also served as a distraction, forcing investigators to allocate resources to verify their authenticity and decipher their meaning. Many turned out to be hoaxes, adding another layer of confusion to an already overwhelming situation. The psychological impact of these taunts on both investigators and the public cannot be overstated. The sense of uncertainty and impending danger amplified the fear and anxiety that gripped the nation. These manipulative tactics, whether genuine or not, played a significant role in shaping the narrative and hindering the investigative process. Amidst the confusion and dead ends, there were moments of what seemed like genuine breakthroughs, offering glimmers of false hope. The discovery of a fragment of a truck axle, initially believed to be from a different vehicle, led investigators to believe a second bomb might have been involved. This theory, while ultimately disproven, consumed a significant amount of investigative effort. It fueled speculation about a larger conspiracy and complicated the already challenging task of piecing together the events leading up to the explosion. These moments of false hope, while understandably frustrating for investigators, underscore the intricate nature of such investigations and the need for meticulous analysis and verification of every piece of evidence. The identification of John Doe No. 2, a suspect initially believed to have been McVeigh's accomplice, became another source of both intense focus and, ultimately, disappointment. Witness descriptions led to a nationwide manhunt, generating numerous tips and potential leads. However, this intensive search proved fruitless when it was eventually determined that the witness accounts were mistaken and that no second accomplice was directly involved in planting the bomb. The John Doe 2 episode exemplifies how eyewitness testimony, while crucial, can be unreliable, and how crucial it is for investigators to corroborate such accounts with physical evidence and other verifiable information. The time and resources dedicated to this ultimately false lead represent another challenge in the pursuit of justice. The sheer scale of the devastation left an indelible scar on Oklahoma City. 168 lives were lost, including 19 children attending the daycare center within the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. Beyond the immediate loss, hundreds were injured, many suffering life-altering physical and psychological trauma. The bombing ripped through the heart of the community, shattering any sense of security and leaving a pervasive atmosphere of fear and grief. The long-term emotional toll on the survivors, the families of the victims, and the wider community cannot be overstated. The sudden, violent nature of the event created a collective trauma that reverberated through Oklahoma City for years to come. We need to remember that this wasn't just a statistic. These were real people, real lives, shattered in an instant. Absolutely. The Oklahoma City bombing wasn't just a physical attack. It was a psychological one. The sudden loss of life, the destruction of a symbol of government, and the pervasive sense of vulnerability created a deep-seated trauma within the community. Many survivors experienced post-traumatic stress disorder, struggling with flashbacks, nightmares, and anxiety long after the dust had settled. The families of the victims faced unimaginable grief and the daunting task of rebuilding their lives in the shadow of such a horrific event. The entire city was plunged into a state of mourning, and the emotional scars of the bombing remained raw for years, impacting everything from social interactions to public trust. The ripple effect of the bombing extended far beyond Oklahoma City. The nation as a whole grappled with the implications of such a large-scale act of domestic terrorism. The attack challenged the perception of safety and security within the United States, fueling anxieties about potential future threats. The meticulous planning and execution of the bombing, combined with the targeting of a federal building, underscored the vulnerability of government institutions and the potential for extremist ideologies to manifest in devastating acts of violence. The Oklahoma City bombing became a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the enduring impact of trauma on individuals and communities. The long-term consequences of the bombing continue to manifest in various ways. The ongoing health issues faced by survivors, the continued struggles with grief and trauma experienced by families, and the collective memory of the event shaped the identity of Oklahoma City to this day. The Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum serves as a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit and a poignant reminder of the lives lost and the lessons learned. It stands as a symbol of hope amidst tragedy, dedicated to educating future generations about the importance of tolerance and understanding and the devastating impact of violence and extremism. The investigation, sprawling and complex, began to coalesce around a singular point: Timothy McVeigh. Bits and pieces, seemingly disparate, started to fit together. The sketch of the Ryder truck renter, the descriptions from witnesses near the bomb site, the purchase of ammonium nitrate fertilizer, all pointed towards him. It was a painstaking process, sifting through mountains of information, but the picture slowly became clearer. The investigators discovered McVeigh's connection to the extremist anti-government militia movement, his attendance at gun shows, and his documented anger towards the federal government. The bombing of the Murrah building wasn't a random act. It was a meticulously planned attack, fueled by a deep-seated ideology. And all roads, it seemed, led to Timothy McVeigh. The breakthrough in the Oklahoma City bombing case came with the identification of the Ryder truck's vehicle identification number, or VIN. This crucial piece of evidence, recovered from the debris, allowed investigators to trace the truck back to the rental agency. The agency provided a sketch of the renter, which was then circulated nationwide. This led to a motel owner in Junction City, Kansas, recognizing the sketch as Timothy McVeigh, who had stayed there under the alias Robert Kling. The motel owner recalled McVeigh's peculiar behavior, and his rental of a Ryder truck matching the description. This seemingly minor detail proved to be the linchpin of the case, connecting McVeigh definitively to the bombing and propelling the investigation forward at an accelerated pace. The net was closing in. Just 2 days after the bombing, on April 21, 1995, Timothy McVeigh was arrested. He was pulled over by Oklahoma State Trooper Charlie Hanger for driving a yellow Mercury Marquis without a license plate. During the traffic stop, the trooper discovered a concealed weapon, leading to McVeigh's arrest. What initially seemed like a routine traffic violation quickly escalated into a major development in the bombing investigation. As McVeigh's name and description were run through the databases, the connection to the Ryder truck rental and the composite sketch emerged. The pieces of the puzzle clicked into place, revealing a disturbing image of a man harboring extremist views, capable of unspeakable violence. The arrest, though seemingly unrelated to the bombing at first, marked a pivotal moment in the investigation. The subsequent investigation revealed a complex web of connections and co-conspirators, including Terry Nichols, who was later convicted for his role in the bombing. The discovery of bomb-making materials at Nichols' farm further solidified the case against McVeigh. The meticulous planning, the acquisition of materials, the construction of the bomb, and the execution of the attack all pointed towards a conspiracy. While McVeigh emerged as the central figure, the involvement of others underscored the extent of the plot. The investigation continued to unravel the network involved, meticulously gathering evidence to bring all those responsible to justice. The enormity of the crime and its impact on the nation underscored the gravity of the investigation. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Timothy McVeigh, a seemingly ordinary man, parked a Ryder truck packed with explosives in front of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. He blended into the morning rush hour traffic, an anonymous face in the crowd. He then walked away, detonating the bomb and unleashing unimaginable devastation. The image of the building, partially collapsed, a gaping wound in the heart of Oklahoma City, became a symbol of the horrific consequences of extremist ideology taken to its violent extreme. 168 lives, including 19 children, were extinguished in an instant. The meticulous planning, the cold-blooded execution, the sheer scale of the destruction. It all points to a level of premeditation that is truly disturbing. McVeigh's actions force us to confront the uncomfortable reality that evil can lurk beneath the surface of the ordinary. Absolutely. McVeigh's co-conspirator, Terry Nichols, further complicates this already complex narrative. Nichols' role in acquiring the bomb-making materials and assisting with the construction of the device adds another layer to the story. While McVeigh was the face of the attack, Nichols' involvement highlights the dangers of shared extremist beliefs and the power of influence. Their shared anti-government sentiments, fueled by events like the Waco siege, became the twisted justification for their horrific act. We have to consider the broader context of the militia movement and the rise of anti-government extremism in the 1990s. This attack wasn't just the act of a lone wolf. It was a culmination of a dangerous ideology that had been festering beneath the surface of American society. The Oklahoma City bombing serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of our society to acts of domestic terrorism. The bombing exposed weaknesses in security and highlighted the challenges of detecting and preventing such attacks. The subsequent investigations and trials revealed the meticulous planning that went into the bombing, the network of individuals involved, and the motivations behind the attack. The sheer scale of the destruction and the immense loss of life left an indelible mark on the nation's psyche. It forced us to confront the reality that the greatest threats sometimes come not from external enemies, but from within our own borders. And that's the question that lingers, isn't it? How can we identify and address the seeds of extremism before they blossom into acts of violence? McVeigh and Nichols were not born monsters. They were individuals whose beliefs were warped and radicalized over time. Understanding the factors that contribute to the rise of extremist ideologies is crucial to preventing future tragedies. The Oklahoma City bombing stands as a chilling testament to the destructive power of hate and the importance of vigilance in safeguarding our society against those who seek to sow chaos and destruction. It leaves us with a profound sense of unease, a reminder that the monsters among us may be hiding in plain sight. Thank you for walking with us through the shadows. The story doesn't end here. It lingers, echoing through time, reminding us that the darkest truths often hide in plain sight. Until next time, stay curious and stay vigilant. This case remains unsolved. Perhaps the truth is still out there.